Hey people, it's the Book Pixie, and today we're going to be exploring Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. Make sure you have a pen and some paper for today's lesson, and you may also want to have your copy of Mice and Men to hand. So first, let's quickly go over what we'll be learning today. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to understand the key themes in Of Mice and Men, analyse and discuss the characters in the novel, identify and interpret important quotations from the book, and apply critical thinking skills by completing a Pixie Pop quiz. Let's first begin with a brief Pixie overview of the book. Of Mice and Men is a novella written by John Steinbeck set during the Great Depression. The story follows two travelling ranch workers, George Milton and Lenny Small, as they seek employment and navigate the challenges of the time. The story's narrative explores themes of loneliness, friendship, dreams, and the harsh realities of society during that period. So now I've explained what the story is about, let's dive into some of the main characters in the book. First, we have George Milton. George is the pragmatic and protective friend of Lenny. George is a central character who struggles with the responsibility of caring for Lenny while harbouring his own dreams. Next, let's talk about Lenny Small. Lenny is a mentally disabled but physically powerful man with a childlike innocence. Lenny's strength contrasts with his vulnerability, making him an important and poignant character. Another really key character in this book is Curly's wife. While she doesn't have a name, she ends up being at the very centre of the story's plot. Curly's wife is a lonely and misunderstood woman who dreams of a better life but is confined by societal expectations and her tumultuous marriage to Curly. Another super important character in this story is Candy. Candy is an aging ranch worker with a missing hand who befriends George and Lenny when they begin work at the ranch. Candy represents marginalised and discarded members of society. There are some really important themes in the story, and we will now go over some of these key themes. The first is loneliness. The characters in Of Mice and Men grapple with the pervasive sense of isolation during the Great Depression. Listen carefully to this really important quotation from the book. Suppose you didn't have nobody. Suppose you couldn't go into the bunkhouse and play rummy because you was black. How'd you like that? Suppose you had to sit out here and read books. Books ain't no good. A guy needs somebody to be near him. In the book, this is said by Crooks, who is the only black worker on the ranch. Here, he is emphasising the profound loneliness experienced by marginalised individuals in society. As mentioned earlier in the lesson, the character of Candy also represents well the idea of loneliness and how it feels to be a marginalised and elderly person in society. Dreams are also a very important theme within the story. The pursuit of dreams is a recurring theme in the story, highlighting the characters' aspirations and the challenges they face in achieving them. This story is a direct commentary on the idea of the American dream, as the phrase was first coined during the Great Depression by James Truslow Adams. The American dream is the ideal that every citizen of the United States should have an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. Listen carefully to this next quotation. Okay, someday we're gonna get the jack together and we're gonna have a little house and a couple of acres and a cow and some pigs and live off the fat of the land, Lenny shouted. This line in the book represents well George and Lenny's recurring dream, a dream that they have held as they have travelled from ranch to ranch during the time of the Great Depression. This quotation highlights the universal desire for a better life and the simplicity of their aspirations. Finally, let's talk about the theme of powerlessness in Of Mice and Men. Many of the book's characters feel and experience a lack of control over their own destinies, and this reflects the broader societal power imbalances felt during the time of the Great Depression. Here's another quotation that really highlights powerlessness within the story. "I've seen hundreds of men come by on the road and on the ranches, with their bindles on their back and that same damn thing in their heads. Hundreds of them. They come and they quit and go on, and every damn one of them's got a little piece of land in his head. And never a goddamn one of them ever gets it. Just like heaven." Here, Candy is expressing the futility and powerlessness of the common worker's dream during the Great Depression. This quotation also expresses the desire that people of that time had for a better life and the difficulty in achieving it. I also wanted to take the time to talk about the title as an important device to the story. "The best laid schemes of mice and men, gang affly agly." This is a quotation taken directly from Robert Burns' poem To a Mouse. This is important as it speaks directly to the book's title. This quotation means no matter how well the highest or the lowest of us make plans, the whole thing can go spectacularly wrong anyway. This speaks exactly to George and Lenny's journey. And so simply by reading and understanding the title, it is foreshadowing the downfall of their dreams and plans for the future. Now that we have learned what the book is about, discussed the main characters and analysed the book's key themes, let's test our knowledge with the Pixie Pop quiz. The 4 questions you will be answering are: 1. Who are the main protagonists in Of Mice and Men? Write a couple of sentences to describe their characters. Number 2. One of the themes explored in the story is dreams. Write a few sentences explaining how this is explored in the book. Number 3. How do you think loneliness affects the characters in the story? And number 4 is a challenge. What is the role of Curly's wife in the story, and what does she symbolise? Now enjoy this lo-fi beat whilst taking a few minutes to answer these questions. Try to add as much detail to your answers as you can. And if you have time, give the challenge question a go. See you in a few. Okay, time's up. Let's go over the answers to these questions. So, question 1 was, who are the main protagonists in Of Mice and Men? Write a few sentences to describe their characters. The main protagonists are of course George Milton and Lenny Small. In your answer, you should have used some really great adjectives to describe George and Lenny, as well as adding some details about their relationship to one another too. You may have written something like this. The main protagonists are George Milton and Lenny Small. George is a small, wiry and intelligent man who serves as a caretaker and protector for Lenny, who is a physically strong but mentally disabled man with a childlike innocence. George is pragmatic and dreams of a better life, while Lenny's innocence and strength create a complex dynamic between the two characters. Right, question 2. One of the themes explored in the story is dreams. Write a few sentences explaining how this is explored in the book. The theme of dreams is prevalent throughout the novel, primarily embodied in the dream shared by George and Lenny to own a piece of land, live off the fat of the land, and achieve a sense of stability. The characters' dreams serve as a driving force, providing hope and motivation in a world marked by hardship and uncertainty. However, the harsh realities of the time often shatter these dreams, highlighting the fragility of aspirations during the Great Depression. Okay, let's talk about question 3. How do you think loneliness affects the characters in the story? Transitory nature of their lives as itinerant workers. Characters like Candy, Crooks, and Curly's wife experience deep loneliness, craving connection and understanding. The pervasive theme of loneliness underscores the human need for companionship and the challenges of forming meaningful relationships during challenging times. And if you managed to also answer the challenge question, which was, what is the role of Curly's wife in the story and what does she symbolise? Your answer should sound something like this. Curly's wife plays a complex role in the narrative. She symbolises the loneliness and unfulfilled dreams of many women during the Great Depression. Trapped in a loveless marriage, she seeks attention and companionship from the ranch workers. However, her interactions are often misunderstood, leading to isolation. Her untimely death highlights the societal limitations placed on women during that era and the consequences of unfulfilled aspirations. Curly's wife serves as a poignant symbol of the challenges faced by women in a male-dominated and oppressive society. So, well done for completing the Pixie Pop quiz. And remember, when it comes to your exams, there isn't really any right or wrong answer. Giving as much detail as possible and providing evidence for your answers is what will make the difference. As we are coming to the end of our lesson, let's review what we learned today. We can now understand the key themes in Of Mice and Men. We can also analyse and discuss the characters in the novel. We are able to identify and interpret important quotations from the book. And we have definitely applied critical thinking skills through our Pixie Pop quiz. Way to go! Just before you go, here are a few things you can do to become an Of Mice and Men expert. Have group discussions. Discuss and analyse specific chapters or characters in more detail with your peers. Be creative. Perhaps you could write a diary entry from one of the characters' perspectives or create a visual representation of a key scene. Explore connections between Of Mice and Men and other works of literature or historical events from the Great Depression era. And finally, maybe you could watch a film adaptation of Mice and Men to compare and contrast the portrayal of characters and themes in different mediums. I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson and now have a better understanding of Mice and Men. Thanks for watching and see you next time.